We have an incredible backdrop here at Titleist Performance Institute, and we've got an incredible product to talk about with the all-new Scotty Cameron Studio Style. To help us out with that, we've got the guy, Austie Rollinson, Senior Director of Putter R&D here for Scotty Cameron. And Austie, I know there's a lot that goes into this putter, and we have some new technology as well that we want to go over. So I guess, first of all, just a general overview. What was the goal with this whole line? Because you can see in front of us, we got a ton of different options.
Right.
We got some new stuff that maybe the viewer can't see, but what did you want to accomplish with this line?
Well, one of the main things Scotty and I talked about, he's done a lot over the years trying to tune the sound and feel of his putters that he offers to the market and to tour as well. And so between different materials like GSS and beryllium and aluminum, and also different millings, he's looked to really just tune the sound and feel. So this was a project to really try to get a nice softer sound. A lot of young players are coming up that are used to playing softer faces in their putters. We knew we could do that in metal, so we really went on a journey trying to find the right combination of metal and milling to give us a nice soft feel, but still have that Scotty Cameron responsiveness.
Sure. And so what you're mentioning there is part of what's new is this insert. What can you tell us about this? And but before you get into the technology, though, I think a cool story for this, maybe a little bit behind the curtain. The inspiration for this, we were told that Scotty Cameron is a big car guy, and there was a car that inspired the look of this chain link fence look. What went into that, and how did he decide on that look?
Well, it kind of started out with the grip, oddly enough, on the mallet putters that we had, the Phantoms last year. So we had come up with this new full contact grip. We knew we wanted to have kind of a smooth top, but texture on the back, kind of the way the old half cord grips used to be. Get a little more grip, a little more softer feel on the back. And I had done some sketches with dashes and pluses and the usual things you'd see on a textured grip.
Sure.
And he goes, that's just so boring. He goes, hey, pull up the Audi Avant station wagon and pull it up. He goes, look at the grill. And it had kind of this chainmail look on the grill. And he says, now pull up the interior. So they had the stitching that was mirrored in the seats. He goes, that looks really cool. It's very industrial. And so we came up with this kind of chain link pattern for the grip. And it looked really good. He even had these little chain link dots to alignment marks on there. And so we were looking to do the mill pattern on the face. You know, you could do grooves, you can do punch marks, which everybody does. And I knew what the reaction was going to be. So I said, let's try this chain link on the face of the insert. And I showed it to him. He's like, that's what we're doing. That's like elegant, it's unique, it's different. And it still achieves what we wanted to achieve in a milling, and that's removing material from the face to kind of cut down on the sound of impact. Okay. But do it in an elegant way. Sure.
I was going to say, it's funny because the inspiration is from a car, but this very much looks like a Scotty Cameron putter to me in a great way, right? It fits. It's new, but it fits in.
Yeah, we wanted to keep that insert shape kind of harken back to the original studio style with that kind of octagon look to it. So wanted to keep a lot of the old in here, but bring it forward to the modern day with great tech to achieve the sound and feel we wanted to.
And so how do you do that with the insert? What is it made of, the construction, and how do you get to that point to get it to where you know that that's the sound and feel you're looking for?
Well, you do a lot of R&D, a lot of testing.
Sure.
And so we set out getting all the usual suspects of materials and all the usual suspects of milling. So I've got, you know, in my office, stainless, beryllium, aluminum, titanium, with all the different millings and even different grooves and punch marks to go test. And it's really just getting people trying them and what they hear. I mean, we've done all the technical microphone, measure it, look at the squiggly lines to kind of figure out what's going on, but the best test is to have players hit it and what they hear.
Sure.
We've done it with tour players as well, and you know, the one material that kind of came up from the testing and also looking at the scientific papers is carbon steel. It has great damping properties, and that's what you want to do. You want the vibration of impact to be absorbed by the material.
Okay.
And stainless is okay, aluminum's pretty good, beryllium's good, carbon steel was better. And so we made some samples of the carbon steel with the chain link, and it was like a light bulb went off. Like, that is fantastic feel, fantastic sound. Brought it out to tour and had some players try it. And they echoed those sentiments as well. So we knew we had something special.
Yeah. You mentioned the putter grip as well. That's something new on here. What went into even those fine details of changing the putter, and why did you do that?
Well, Scotty really believes that you have to have the right size grip for the right head shape.
Okay.
And so when we were doing the Phantom models, we wanted kind of a larger paddle style grip on that. He
Sure.
always put larger grips on larger heads. And so this is one of the Phantom putters. So we came up with this full contact grip that really kind of fills the hands nicely. It's a very comfortable fit, not a lot of voids between the grip and the hands. And has a nice big flat front on it, paddle style grip for great face awareness. And so we wanted to have, we had great response to this, and so we wanted something that's like that, same sort of technology and that grip into this blade line. So we came up with a slimmer version of that design to fit better with these blade and mid-mallet style putters.
Okay. Now, you mentioned the tour guys, and that's a big part of testing, but you have both sides to appease, the tour guys and the consumer side.
Right.
When it comes to, you and I were talking about this off camera a little bit, sound sometimes is feel for people, but look,
Yes.
especially with a putter, it's got to look good. You got to feel good holding it.
Right.
What went into the look and the style of some of these, this mid-mallet that I'm holding even, it seems like it's a little bit different?
It is a little bit different. We had a lot of, you have to have in our blade line, you have to have the usual suspects of Newport 2s.
Right, yep.
And our Plus models, a little wider body, Newport 2. But these mid-mallets, both the new fastback and the new squareback, we really wanted to increase the footprint of those, get them closer to where Phantom is, but still keep a lot of the blade properties with a distinct top line kind of flowing back into the ground. And so one of the things we did when we made it larger is to try to increase the forgiveness of this, increase the inertia. So getting rid of weight in the middle is going to help that.
Yep.
Have this ring weighted design on here to increase the forgiveness. And we knew we had to put aluminum into this to take basically to make this whole thing out of steel would be way too heavy.
Sure.
And so we have, an aircraft aluminum sole plate, and then these toe and heel sections here that are contrasting are actually aluminum.
Oh, wow.
So we removed weight, decided to do a contrasting to really highlight this front blade and this back blade on this design to help with alignment. A lot of players who love mallets like those lines that go parallel to the line of the putt. A lot of people who love blades use the perpendicular aspect of a blade design, whether it's the top line or the back edge to align. So this gives you multiple edges to help you align. And then you have this visualization of this back bar staying square all the way through impact. We really believe that the key to good putting is to keep that face square at impact and through impact, and this helps players visualize that.
Yeah. Something that I'm always curious about, I happen to have an older Scotty Cameron, and I think there's probably a lot of loyalists out there that just don't want to get rid of that Scotty that they have.
Yeah.
When you're developing, you're testing, you're researching, you're designing, that's got to be a challenge, right? You've got to create something that someone is going to look at and say, okay, I need that putter.
Right.
How do you do that?
Well, it's a balancing act for sure. So you have to look at what those players loved about Scotty Cameron putters. A lot of it was the feel. And so the decision to use carbon was a lot of scientific and technical, but it was nostalgic as well.
Sure.
So looking to those guys that love the feel of carbon, the original Scotty Camerons, kind of bringing that into here, kind of going back to the look of that old insert in here that people have great fond memories of. Rather than doing something completely new, kind of look to the past a little bit, putting the crown on the face. One of Scotty's first putters with Titleist had the crown on the face.
Sure.
And then, but still look to the future, look to tour what they want, kind of new shapes, new innovations, better performance for them. So that sound aspect of it is where we look to the future with innovation. And then from a shape standpoint, we know we have to have Newport 2s because consumers are looking for that from Scotty Cameron, but they're also looking for design innovations like what Scotty did with some of the Futura putters years ago, bringing some of those elements into these as well. So have the perfect balance to kind of satisfy all those customers, if you will.
You got to satisfy them with the look, but the technology's got to be there as well. The putter
Exactly.
has to perform, and it has to perform up to the Scotty Cameron level. I think there's this misnomer, or this maybe just this gap in education for the consumer of what a putter really is, the technology that goes into it. This is not just a piece of flat metal that you hit the ball with and maybe it goes in. There's so much that goes into this. We talked a little bit about weighting, shaping, taking some weight out. What does the research and development process look like for trying to improve putters? And you mentioned like keeping it square at impact and keeping it square through impact. How does that process even work of trying to develop a putter that gets you to that result?
Yeah, and it's not just the one putter itself, but it's the range of putters that you have. And so we work very closely with Paul Vazanka, who runs our leadership and fitting programs. So all the different neck options you see in the range are curated so that there is the right sort of balance and setup for all the different players out there, whether it's jet necks or plumbing necks or mid-bend shafts. You have a good variety in there. So looking to tour for R&D to prove kind of our wild, crazy ideas that we have, you got to validate them somehow. You can validate them through testing with consumers, but those are the test drivers that you really need to satisfy to kind of drive the demand for these products. So, and then from a shape standpoint, it's hard kind of looking to them for the answers.
Sure.
And so a lot of it is just, Scotty has ideas that he's grinding on a putter in the back. Here, what do you think of that? And it's the back and forth, the collaboration there is very special of how all these shapes, the fine details, how they change, and these kind of big innovations, how they come about.
Yeah, special process, some special putters. Let's roll a couple putts here and we'll go through what each putter does and who maybe it fits as well.
Okay, sir.
Okay, Austie, let's run through some of the models that are available. Let's start with the blades. We've got some rollover in terms of models, but we do have some new ones as well, some that we want to go over here. I'm holding the Catalina, you've got the Newport 2. What models are available to everybody, and then what's new in these two?
So, of course, if we have a blade line, we have to have Newport 2.
Sure.
Those are going to definitely come over into the line. The Newport Plus, Newport 2 Plus, which we introduced in Super Select last go around, they've been extremely popular, so we've moved those into this line as well as a 2.5 Plus, which gives you a little bit more toe hang, a little more face awareness in kind of the oversized blade as well. This one here is the Newport 2. We've made some design changes to this based on feedback from Tour. So when Scotty had done the Super Select and Special Select, he had made some changes based on Tour feedback back then, a little thinner top line, a little shorter face.
Okay.
We've had a lot of players come to us saying, oh, I love that, we talked about nostalgic kind of shapes.
Sure.
The Newport 2 back in 2012 that had, a little more even toe heel, a little thicker top line. I'd love to see that again. So we started tweaking this to kind of bring some of those flavors back into this design. So it's got a little thicker top line, a little more even toe and heel that some of the older classic Scotties have had.
Okay.
So, subtle tweaks, but I think those players that loved Scotty Cameron Newport 2s of old are going to love this.
Sure. And then the Catalina as well.
So the Catalina is based off of a Newport Plus.
Okay.
And so one of the things that Scotty likes to do is look at the number of putters that are going out to tour. So players will come in and ask for tweaks to them. And there was a lot of Newport Plus, Newport 2 Pluses with hosels cut off and a mid-bend shaft put in them. Kind of like the old Catalinas he had done years ago. And so you see enough of that, hey, we should put that in the line. We put it in our B3 line at the start of this year. Got some great feedback, so we said that's a natural one to put in. It also gives those players that love a blade a different hosel option. So another thing that if you look through the line, we have a lot of plumbing necks, but we also have available a jet neck for a little more toe hang. This gives you a little more face balance in a blade, so a lot of options.
I'm going to hit a couple here while you're talking, just to kind of show people and maybe show myself too.
Yes.
What's the player profile for? Let's start with Newport 2. Like who do you see in that putter?
Well, I think the plumbing neck is a great option for those that are kind of in between, whether they want a face balance or something more heel shafted. It gives you a nice neutral balance. It's a nice square hosel to help set you up with alignment.
Sure.
And the Newport 2 specifically has a lot of square edges to help with alignment. So it's a great option for those that want kind of that neutral toe release, neutral face angle, but a lot of parallel lines to help them align.
Sure. And then Catalina.
Catalina is going to have a little more face balance. So if you look at how these balance, it's going to be a little more neutral in that aspect. So if you're a player that likes to have your eyes kind of over the ball more, has a little more square to square, likes to keep that face square.
We didn't plan this, but that's me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so this is a great kind of tweener that someone like, I want to try a blade, but I love the kind of the way this mallet swings.
Yeah.
This will kind of give you the best of both.
Okay. We were actually talking about that off camera. That also probably fits me, where I grew up with a blade, but there's so many options now. I wasn't really sure what I fit into, and something like this I think probably fits a lot of people. That you like you said, it's going to help keep you square through impact, but you're still getting the look and feel of the blade, because look and feel, looking down on it, it's so important, right?
Right. You need that confidence of what you're looking at is going to deliver that face square and give you the sound and feel you want. So I think we've kind of designed all of these in, specifically Catalina, Newport, and the entire line.
And just hitting a couple here, I mean, I can hear, I can feel it. Sound is feel for me in my hands, and I can definitely feel that dampening in the carbon too. It's an interesting feel that it absolutely comes off there in an interesting way. That it's pretty incredible. You guys are good at this.
Thank you.
Well, let's look at the mid mallets then and see what options we have in those as well.
Sure.
So these are obviously, the look is different, but they're also unique to themselves, to this line as well. Some of the mid mallets we talked about. I'm holding Fastback 1.5, and I think just looking at this, we talked about it before. Some of the weighting, taking some materials out, some multi-material construction too. What is the goal with these, and maybe who do they fit?
Well, again, there's players that want kind of a mallet type setup, but still like some of those blade characteristics. And so both of the fastback and the squareback line, we've done some things in designs to get the forgiveness up. So more mallet characteristics, more forgiving, ring weighting, but then bring in some alignment technology as well. So both of these have this kind of contrast alignment where you can really visualize kind of a small front blade and then a rear blade, give you a lot of perpendicular lines to your target to help you align. So again, you're going to get mallet forgiveness, but if you want to look at just a small blade, you can concentrate in that front. If you want to look at a big footprint, you can look at the whole thing. So a very versatile shape, and then a lot of different neck options in these as well.
Yeah. With the fastback, what type of player does this fit? Or is there consideration with swing arc with these? Is it just like we talked about with some of the other some of the other blades too? Is there going to be more square?
Yeah, there is. I mean, both the fastback and squareback, that's a 1.5, so that's for the player that wants a little more face awareness, a little more movement. But that's also available in a mid-bend like the squareback, which is a little bit more face balance. It's got a little bit of toe drop to kind of help the player get it started on the right path. But for the guys who wants their eyes over the ball, has a little more square to square stroke. Both the fastback and the squareback are going to help you achieve that. But if you like the look but are used to like more of a Newport 2 style neck setup, we've got the squareback 2. So you can get the squareback in a plumbing neck, and then you can get the Fastback 1.5 in this little jet neck if you have a lot of movement, a lot of face awareness, a lot of toe flow in your stroke. There's an option there.
Is the squareback too, I think, is that for someone that wants all those qualities but maybe even likes the look of a blade? I mean, I know that's bigger than a blade obviously, but this is this, like we call it, a mid mallet. That's a little bit more traditional in a sense too, right? Yeah,
I mean they're in the mid mallet category, but we kind of coined the term about a year ago when we started conceptualizing these as hybrid putters. So there's putters that have both blade qualities and mallet qualities. I think we see a lot more of those coming into play on tour. It started with players wanting to put blade style hosels on kind of the larger mallets to get their eyes in the right place, to get the right face awareness. So this is kind of pulling it more into the blade realm, bringing some mallet qualities into those as well.
Yeah, some great qualities in these putters. New options, a ton of new technology, awesome design in the studio style Scotty Cameron putters.